Yesterday we said that as we are about to sit from standing position, there arises this intention in series, which is the mentality, nama, and also is the cause. And the resultant sitting process is materiality, and it is the effect of the cause. In this way, we come to observe the linkage of cause and effect of this mind and body. But it is not, we are not to take that by just knowing this, by just knowing through reflection that we are able to cultivate knowledge. Not so. It is only with the practice of meditation, noting at the very moment of this cause and effect, will one know it by one's own experience. It can be only seen by just one's own personal experience. And there are other instances also of how nama causes nama. And to give just a hint, now there is saying, and you are hearing, as the sound waves hit your eardrum or sensitivity of the ear, you are hearing it. But without any attention paid to it, you may not hear it. It is quite obvious. Although the sound may be striking your eardrum. Only when you pay attention, and when he says something, and when the sound waves are hitting it, then you will be hearing it. That is, the result is hearing consciousness. So in this case, this attention paid to hearing is known as manasikara, attention, which is the mentality, nama, and is the cause. And as a result of this attention, manasikara, you are hearing it continuously, which is the effect, which is also nama, mentality. And they are not causeless. They are due to cause and condition, and they are not. The hearing consciousness is not created by the great Supreme Being. It is only with the practice of Satipatthana, you are noting at the very moment, you are observing how the cause and effect, how nama causes nama, by noting with full commitment, that is, with the application of energetic aim and the concentration on the mind, that is Kanika Samadhi, you are able to see it by your own personal experience. Only when you know at that very moment, you are bound to observe it, and you come to a definite decision. Otherwise, you will not be able to accept it, and you will be doubtful about it. This doubt is known as vicikiccha. Now, with the practice of mindfulness, you observe how nama causes nama. And this event is not causeless, it is due to cause. And it arises only when you pay attention to it, that you hear it, that is, hearing consciousness arises. In this way, you observe it very clearly, that the relevant cause, or the relevant cause gives rise to relevant effect. In this way, you understand the relevancy of conditionality. As much as you are convinced in the present case, you will come to understand, you accept that such things could have happened in the past, and will also happen in the future. That is how nama causes nama And as much as it occurs in yourself, you can deduce that it will occur in others. And this is how one observes how nama causes nama. And this also is a result of cultivation of the mind and keeping the mind in the right way. That is Atasama Panidhi. Now you are hearing, although the sound may be there, the sound may be hitting your eardrums, you will not hear it unless you pay attention. Only when you pay attention, you will hear the sound. So too with other sense impressions, namely seeing a visible object, smell, taste, tangible objects, thoughts and ideas. They are all around you. Thoughts and ideas are many. Thoughts about past, future and so on. And there are many thoughts, there can be many thoughts and ideas. However much there may be such objects around you, unless you pay attention, you will not see, hear, taste, touch or think. And only when you pay attention, nama will cause nama. You understand how nama causes nama. And we can only talk about this just to give it a hint, but there's no time to elaborate on this point. If you note at that very moment, you are bound to observe the nature of nama, the nature of rupa, the nature of cause, and the nature of effect. Just explanation is only gist. It will not be complete. You will know better and more complete through your own personal experience. There may be the objects and there may be the doors. That is, there are 6 sense doors such as eye door, ear door and so on. And they are also known as base element, striker element, leading to ignition element, that is consciousness. Although these objects may be hitting the doors or coming through the doors, if there is no intention, no mind, or no intention, no attention paid to it, there will not be any consciousness. If there is no attention paid to it, known as manasikara, your attention may be elsewhere, not paying attention, not paying to these, the sound or sight and so on. Although there are these base elements, that is the door, and the striker element, that is the sound wave and things like that, if there is no attention paid to it, you may be just hearing, seeing, tasting, touching unconsciously, so to speak. Hence the manasikara is necessary. It acts like a rudder in a boat, so that the boat can go where you wish it to go. So that only when there is this manasikara, attention, your attention will be directed to the respective door. This also applies to practicing yogis. At the moment of the practice of meditation, this manasikara, attention, is very essential. Sometimes there will not be any aim. You may not be taking an aim at the object. Sometimes you may not be exerting energy. Then you will not be concurrent with the object to be noted. If there is no energy, then because of the lack of driving force, the noting mind will not reach the object to be noted. And it will not be consistent, it will not become clear or obvious. You may be seeing only concepts or conceptual objects. At times, because of the excessive energy, with less amount of aiming, the factor of aiming, you may be overshooting the object, you may be missing the object. And also, on the other hand, if the energy is less, although there may be aiming, you may not be able to catch up with the object because it arises so fast. So this you have to practice with energetic aim. That means you have to adjust these two mental powers or mental states, and namely energy and aiming, so that they become equalized, they become balanced, so that there will be no overshooting, there will be no excessiveness, or there will be no shortage. You adjust your two mental factors or mental states. Then when they are adjusted, you'll be able to be connected with the object consistently, and you'll be hitting the target. Hence, manasikara is very essential to be able to connect with the object of attention. Especially for the practicing yogis, in respect of the objects noted, one will not be overcome by greed or craving in respect of desirable objects, nor will one be overcome by hatred or ill will in respect of undesirable objects. Instead, there will be only pure mind arising, especially pure mind accompanied with knowledge. And for this purpose, we need four factors. Namely, we need definite demarcation. Secondly, we change it as occasion arises. Then thirdly, we make the bhavana mind to be continuous. That is, the noting mind or the meditative mind should be continuous, so that the previous mind should be continuous with the succeeding mind. And then the final one, the fourth thing, is paying attention. The result is that even when one encounters desirable object, one will not be aroused by greed or craving. Instead, there will be pure, wholesome consciousness arising. And instead of, although you may encounter hate-inducing object or undesirable object, you will not be overcome by hatred, delusion, hatred or ill will. Instead, there will be pure mentality arising in you. So yogis should be able to conform to these four factors. Then there will be good mindfulness, so that one will observe the arising and passing away of the objects noted, and as well as the arising and passing away of the noting mind, and also the arising and passing away or the dissolution of the object and the noting mind in pairs. And there will be no craving or aversion about the objects noted. And then there will be no sadness or gladness about the noting mind, which may change in the course of the practice. As for the first one out of these four factors, one should make a definite resolution, make up one's mind that one will only let profitable mind arising in oneself, so that one will not be afflicted or agitated by craving and aversion. However much one may encounter such objects, one make a definite resolution, making up one's mind that whatever arises, one will not be afflicted by greed or hatred. And one should make a resolution that only profitable mind will arise, a pure mind will arise. So if you make this kind of resolution in the beginning, you'll be able to practice mindfulness in a very good condition, not to mention when you are able to cultivate at the higher knowledge, you are able to practice better and better. So when you are changing position from standing to sitting or sitting to standing, you make a resolution not to miss your mindfulness. And in all the postures also, and also during walking, you make a resolution that you will not miss mindfulness. And the same thing with other manners such as bending or stretching, hearing, seeing, hearing, tasting and touching, there should be a definite resolution that you will not miss mindfulness. In this way, this resolution will be followed by the development of pure mind in a wonderful manner. So by this resolution, what is the benefit? The benefit is that when you are noting every arising object, you will not be negligent, you will not forget it, instead you will be diligent, or you will be diligent, that is apamada, which in essence is the deep mindfulness. In this way, you put a limit on your mind that you will only let mindfulness arise, so that there will be no negligence. Then the second factor is changing your attention. When there are objects which may arouse greed, you may be simmering in your mind the craving for such desirable objects, and when you encounter undesirable objects, you may be simmering in your mind anger or aversion about this undesirable object without end. Then you change your mind, attention, so that you will go to objects where you will not be aroused, where no lobha or dosa can arise. So during the course of the practice, if one encounters such a situation that even if one notes these objects do not go away, that is, these undesirable objects do not go away, then you just cut it short, and then pull your noting mind and just note the usual objects, but by taking an aim and putting more energy. And this is how you change your attention. Then there will be only pure mentality arising in you. And as for the third one, it concerns this bhavana practice, especially satipatthana practice, to apply this from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. And there are these objects arising at the six sense doors, and as we have already said, we should guard our mind with vigilant mindfulness of whatever arises. So whatever arises should be noted. Initially, with possessing these mental factors, namely faith and confidence and desire, and practicing with full commitment, that is, with the application of energetic aim, we are bound to activate our mindfulness, leading to concentration. And this will be followed by the cultivation of knowledge, as much as the noting mind is concurrent with the object of attention. So that in order to do that, one's bhavana mind should be continuous. That is, the preceding bhavana mind or meditative mind should be continuous with the succeeding bhavana mind or meditating consciousness without any gap. This will flow continuously, like the stitches in the clothes. They are all continuous, so that your clothing will not tear. So in this way, if you make it a practice, the noting mind will be continuous, and later on, at the higher insight knowledge, even if you try to send your attention, to pay your attention purposely to those objects which may arouse greed and hatred, and you will not be overcome by greed and hatred. You will not be affected by these emotions, like the case of boomerang. Even if you throw it will come to the thrower. So too, even if you send your naughty mind to such objects, your naughty mind will come back to you. So that you make it a practice, be continuous, then you'll be able to build up momentum of the practice of bhavana mind. In this way, you'll be able to develop this bhavana powers, the power of mental development, in a very wonderful manner. And it is quite obvious that only profitable consciousness of mental development will flow continuously. One is to have a correct attention, making an adjustment, and by giving correct attention, like steering in a vehicle, you can walk the straight path, just like a vehicle will be steered along the track to be straight in driving, so too you can straighten, you can steer your mind so that the mind will go along the straight path without any deviation. When you are driving a vehicle, you keep to the track, and so also with the mind, keep the mind in track, and then it will go with normal speed. And just like driving a vehicle with normal speed, there will be no accidents. And when you are turning a bend, you turn around the bend carefully, and when you come to the traffic lights, you stop or go, as the case may be. And in this way, you steer across. You steer the mind, just like you steer the vehicle, carefully, so that there will be no mind accident, in this case, mind accident, not the traffic accident. So it will be very useful in our topic of the 4 wheels of success. That is because one has done things in the past, good things in the past, with knowledge that good begets good, bad begets bad. That is believing in karma and karma results. Whether you are a man or woman, because of the good deeds done in the past, you are sent to a place where you can perform good deeds, where you can learn the Buddha's teachings, especially where you can meet Kalyana Metta, spiritual friends of teachers, who can give teachings according to the Buddha's discourses. And you are said to be sent to this place, such a place. Then you will receive instructions and teachings and guidance from these spiritual teachers. And then you can improve yourself, conduct yourself. Then you come to possess faith and confidence in the practice. You'll be able to build up a sense of urgency and enthusiasm, and practice to conduct your mind in the right way, Adasamapanidi. In this way, with the practice of the 4 wheels of prosperity, you'll be able to possess rectified mind. And we are discussing about this correct steering of the vehicle to be able to drive your vehicle on track, so that there will be no greed, hatred, delusion. There will be no unprofitable consciousness, unprofitable deeds. Instead, there will be only profitable deeds arising in the mind. And that is how Nama causes Nama. And sometimes you are not able to catch up with the object. You pay attention so that bhavana consciousness is continuous. So you are able to observe the 3 characteristics, namely impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and selflessness of the object noted. By knowing the impermanent nature of the object, you overcome the perception of permanence. By knowing the unsatisfactory nature of the objects, you do away with the perception of satisfactoriness of the objects. And then you are knowing that things are not under your control. There is no self or soul. You are able to overcome these wrong views. In this way, you will be able to perform good deeds or possess good mind, free of impurities, such as how Nama causes Nama, and about how Rupa causes Nama. Now, you are noting rising and falling, and in the course of the practice, the rising object may fade away, so that you cannot note it properly as rising. And also, though the object may be there, because the object has faded away, you are not able to catch up with the object, you are not able to note it obviously, clearly. And falling object may fade away, so that you will not be able to note it as falling, because it has faded away, although the object is there. In this way, sometimes both rising and falling may appear to have you have lost these two objects, rising and falling. So, you know that in this case, only when there is object, there will be this noting mind. Without the object, there cannot be any noting mind. This is how Rupa causes Nama. Here, Rupa is the cause, and Nama is the effect. Now, there are these base elements and striker elements. In the case of hearing, for instance, the ear is the base element, which is the mentality, which is the materiality, Rupa, and the striker elements, which is the sound waves, also materiality, Rupa. And because of these two things, there arises this hearing consciousness, ignition element, which is the Nama, which is the effect. In this way, there is this Rupa causes Nama. Let us say Sayadaw is talking and you are hearing it. Because of the ear and the sound, there arises this hearing consciousness, hearing contact, and feeling. Without ear and sound, which are Rupa, materiality, you will not be able to hear. There cannot be any hearing consciousness. So because of these base elements, the ear, striker element, the sound, there arises this hearing consciousness, contact, and feeling, which are the affect. So too in the case of other sense impressions, such as smelling, tasting, touching and so on, and you come to observe this linkage of cause and effect. In this case, how Rupa causes. So at the moment of hearing, there are these base elements, striker elements, giving rise to ignition element, that is hearing consciousness, as a result of base and striker elements. And in between, there's no hindrance, that is between the sound and the ear. Because of the lack of hindrance, you can hear it. And because of paying attention, you can hear it. In this way, because of these causes, many causes, you can hear it. And when you are fulfilling these causes, you are bound to hear it. Even if thousands of Mahabrahmas or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Mahabrahmas will, if they even hinder you from hearing it, or preventing you from hearing it, you'll be hearing it, and they will not be able to prevent it from hearing. So, and even if, on the other hand, when these causes are not fulfilled, and however much the Mahabrahmas try to make it hear, you will not be able to hear. There will be no hearing consciousness. They cannot create hearing consciousness if the causes are deficient. So you come to understand here how relevant cause give rise to relevant effect, and this is not the work of Supreme Being. The Supreme Being has nothing to do with it, and you understand it from the theoretical aspect, and you put it down to practice to confirm it. We'll talk about how Rupa causes Rupa tomorrow.